If you clicked on this thinking Francis Ngannou and Mike Tyson are now over a 50-year-old man actually fought,
you're fucking retarded.
But we are going to be comparing punching power, just sheer raw brute force, and hopefully discovering who was the hardest hitter ever. We're not talking about technique or how clean their hits were, just raw power. Francis Ngannou, aka
Dark Chocolates.
Francis Ngannou is a big motherfucker. There's no denying that. He's 6'5", has a 7-foot wingspan, he's 125 kilograms of hard-earned muscle that is explosive and strong, not like weak, useless bodybuilder muscle. Seeing this, a gleam went off in Dana White's eye, and he grabbed that hype train and went with it. In the build-up to their fight, he actually hyped Francis way more than he did Stipe, and Stipe was the then and current heavyweight UFC champion of the world. If that doesn't tell you anything about Dana White, I don't know what will.
And Francis Ngannou has the world record for the most powerful punch. His punch is the equivalent to 96 horsepower, which is equal to getting hit by a Ford Escort going as fast as it can. And it's more powerful than a 12-pound sledgehammer swung full force from overhead. Holy shit.
This video isn't about Dana White, and I should refrain from talking about him, because I will definitely be making another video about him in the future. Punching power has only been accurately measured for about the last 2 decades, so take that into consideration, and I will be getting back to that point later in the video. But as of right now, Francis Ngannou does have the world record for the hardest punch, tested on the Power Cube, UFC's machine, tested by the UFC, by the way, at 129,161 units. Whatever that means. They could have used newtons so that everyone understood, but no. I'm not doubting Francis's power, by the way, because last time that happened, this happened.
Does Francis having the hardest punching power on record make you want to knock him out more?
That's just, you know, fake news stuff. That's just whatever.
Alistair.
He's got the hardest punching power because I didn't punch in that fucking machine.
My apologies for the outdated meme, but it was completely necessary there. You may know KSI, he's a small-time YouTuber that's recently taken up rapping and boxing. The background footage is him versus Joe Weller, and you can see he's got quite a bit of power. Now this is KSI, after even more training, hitting the same power cube Francis Ngannou did. The same punches that nearly knocked Joe Weller's head off only registered at about a quarter of Francis's punch.
36.
And this is proof that Francis hits hard pound for pound, not only because of his massive size. Francis outweighs KSI by about 30%, but he hits literally 3 times harder than any of KSI's punches.
I was gonna tell you to stop at 10, but you keep don't stop. You just keep getting higher.
There we go. Proof that Francis Ngannou is a beast. I have so much respect for Francis Ngannou. He came from the most humble beginnings. At the age of 12, he started working at a sand mine, shoveling for hours on end. For 15 years he did this. Besides his hard work and great genetics, this is how he developed that muscle memory for the so-named shovel hook, the one that nearly took off Alistair Overeem's head. And there is no doubt Francis Ngannou throws the hardest shovel hook out of anyone ever. No one can match him there. Muscle memory is the same reason I'm so efficient at getting sauce out of bottles. But there's still the fair share of bullshit surrounding Francis Ngannou. For example, Joe Rogan said that Mike Tyson never did anything as impressive. Although Mike Tyson never hit as hard, his cleaner boxing and higher skill level led to some pretty impressive knockouts, and Joe Rogan's just flat out wrong there.
For that fight, that was more impressive than anything Tyson ever did because he knocked Overeem into orbit.
Oh, my God.
Overeem was completely unconscious, toes curled with one shot in a way that, like, you just don't see.
Michael Spinks.
Yeah,
Remember that
but
one?
Spinks had already been dropped. I mean, he dropped Spinks and had him hurt, and then Spinks get up and he hit him with that right hand. That was real similar, but there's something about Francis's power.
Fight Mike Tyson. He should be doing a lot more movement than he is now. He's allowing Mike Tyson to trap him in the corner.
fighter when you can't get off punches.
A beautiful right hand. Down goes Botha. That's all it took. One shot. He may not get up. Botha stuck. But this is not the same age man. He should be hanging on. Now with the right hand, the left hand. He's going to hang on. Or he'll stop the fight. Down he goes. Now he's hurt. It's all shot that took him down. Here comes Mike Spinks in. He leads with the right hand. Down he goes. I don't think he'll get up from this. Mike Spinks is laying flat on his back. The count is up to 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. He won't be able to do it. It's all over.
You can't just count out Mike Tyson like that. He's one of the best heavyweight boxers of all time. Where Francis relies on raw power, Mike Tyson uses angles and skill and backs it up with a good left hook, resulting in knockouts that are just as impressive, even if he doesn't hit as hard. But I do believe Francis hits harder. True power punches don't look like they're putting a lot of effort into it. I'll show you some videos of Mike Tyson, George Foreman, and Francis Ngannou, so you can see where that statement comes from.
He's gonna hang on. He's gonna hang on. He's gonna hang on.
Allow Mike Tyson. Allow Mike Tyson. Allow Mike Tyson.
Bigger. Bigger. Now, of course, you're wondering, after me only introducing George Foreman in this video about 10 seconds ago, what happens if someone like him puts power into it? We don't have a direct comparison between Francis Ngannou's power and George Foreman's power. However, we do somewhat with Mike Tyson and George Foreman. Evander Holyfield never made a straightforward public claim about Mike Tyson's power, but he had this to say after fighting a 42-year-old George Foreman.
He had hit me harder than any other fighter, even though he didn't knock me down, but with one shot, I thought he knocked all my teeth out.
So George Foreman definitely hit harder than Mike Tyson did. He's literally got a cow on his shoulder that weighs over 200 kilos. I mean, look at the man's bicep. That's got to at least be 20 inches round. And no, I haven't forgotten about Ernie Shavers, but we're not discussing pound for pound power here. Foreman hit harder than Ernie Shavers simply because he outweighed him by 40 pounds. But yes, he did pummel Ali. Nevertheless, let's enjoy some George Foreman knockouts.
Just 'cause I've been dealt in life, I walk through the loop, but my hope will never die. But my hope will never die.
From my poorly constructed highlight videos, you might be able to see what I was saying with the effortless power displayed by true punches, and the logic behind Joe Rogan's statement about real one-punch power, displayed by someone like George Foreman or Francis Ngannou, and not really seen in someone like Mike Tyson, with that quality being much more impressive in George Foreman, given the 10-ounce difference in boxing and MMA gloves. To sum up this needlessly lengthy video, Francis Ngannou does hit harder than Mike Tyson ever did. I fucking hope we've established that. Does he have the hardest punch in the world? As of right now, I believe he does. He hits harder than a heavyweight great such as Mike Tyson, and he definitely hits harder than a current heavyweight champion such as the Wild Windmill, if you know what I mean by that. On the other hand, there is no way he has the hardest punch ever, as marketed by the UFC. Only the hardest punch ever accurately recorded. Golden Age powerhouses such as Ernie Shavers and George Foreman definitely had him beat, with their own fair share of muscle memory, both being avid woodcutters, swinging an axe to increase punching power, a practice still done today by many successful boxers. This is my opinion and I've got nothing to back it up, but out of Ernie Shavers and George Foreman, I believe George Foreman hit harder. In his prime, George Foreman was only 5 pounds lighter than Francis Ngannou, and Shavers barely made it over 100 kilos. So ruling out pound for pound statistics, logic lends George Foreman the harder punch. And in my humble opinion, I believe George Foreman has the hardest punch ever. I know I've got a really small viewer base, but I really do respect you guys, so I'm sorry that this took so long to upload. A lot of shit's been happening this week and I really didn't feel motivated to make a video. Recently my dog died. His name was Raven, he was a Blue Heeler Cross and he nearly got to 17 years old. He was in my life for over a decade and I really loved him. He was truly a good boy and I'm gonna miss him. I'm not going to shamelessly plug shit like ask you to like and stuff because it doesn't feel right at the moment, and I suppose I'll dedicate this video to Raven. I hope he has fun wherever he goes. If you guys could still comment, that would really help because I read every comment and I love hearing from you guys. So I'll see you next time.